On today's episode, we talk about how Blackstone acquired Tricon for $3.5 billion. The Wall Street purchasing homes narrative is false. What do these funds buying real estate mean for realtors? Building relationships and having a value proposition? And what is the Fed dot plot? Listen to find out.
Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. I am joined here with Jason Leos, Kayla Leos. We are your hosts today, and hey, one of the big things that we want to talk about that's pressing, you may not know about, I mean, it made a lot of mainstream news, but is that BlackRock bought Tricon for $3.5 billion. Tricon is a publicly traded company, and BlackRock is private, and they have now announced that they are going to be pulling them underneath their umbrella and actually delisting them and pulling them private. So what do you guys think about that?
So BlackRock is a big gorilla.
So
They are probably the biggest gorilla.
So, okay, what I think first, let's just a little bit of a clarification here. It's actually Blackstone.
Oh, did I say Blackstone?
So
Yeah.
easy to get them confused.
My bad.
Right.
So Blackstone is taking Tricon private.
Yes.
And if you look at the stock ticker, as soon as the announcement was made, Tricon's stock went up 20%. So it's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Jay?
I think they own a lot of properties now.
They sure do.
Blackstone. How many now? Are they the biggest holder of real estate now? Or
Well,
they were before?
Yes.
That's an
Well,
acquisition of 30, you just looked it up, 38,000.
Yeah. And apparently a lot of land too for build for rent. And
And these are houses, not apartments.
correct.
Yeah, Tricon owns
Single family houses.
homes.
Yes. They also own a lot of land, so they can do a lot of build for rent, and which was the hottest thing. I mean, especially certain areas like in Queen Creek, Arizona, there are so many build for rent.
There are.
I mean, it's insane.
Little cracker boxes.
Yeah, we were at Abby's soccer game yesterday at ALA in Queen Creek, which is, on the border of Queen Creek and Santan Valley.
Yep.
And literally, the soccer fields are surrounded by one build-for-rent community, and then
Both
there's
sides.
another
Another
build-for-rent community on the other side. So these build-for-rent communities are just everywhere. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because they are now the largest owner of single-family homes, or they will be once this acquisition is
surpass
sealed. They could have
Invitation?
been already. Well, didn't Blackstone acquire Invitation Homes? No, they divested in 2019. Okay,
Gotcha.
so that's
I wonder how many houses like Tricon has bought this year, or who the biggest institutional buyer is this year, or 2023.
as of last time I looked at it was in July, and many of them were actually net sellers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were selling more than they were buying. And Invitation owned about 85,000 homes in October. So quite a few homes. There has been a lot of erroneous information on these Wall Street backed funds, and there was something that came out that said Wall Street purchased 1 out of every 4 homes, and then some people got a hold of this information, and it was bad information. I just started perpetuating it.
Wall Street owned 1 out of every 4 homes.
They acquired 1 out of every 1 out of every homes that
Got
was
it.
sold was acquired by Wall Street, and it was not true. In fact, I still see reels from real estate agents that are perpetuating this bad information.
Yeah.
So
That'll be 25% of all home sales.
I know.
yeah,
I was
I
like,
know it
dude,
was
that'd be
insane.
ridiculously high.
And of course, I think the goal is this gets people so up in arms and angry, and that's I believe that's what
Stop
fuels.
Wall Street.
Red cells.
It fuels this legislation that we're starting to see pop up. I mean, there have been a few of them. There was the Stop Wall Street Landlords Act, and then now there's the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. And so we see all these different pieces of legislation being introduced, I believe, kind of based on erroneous data. Because if you really look at, you and I were just talking about the magnitude of the rentals, and most of them are owned by mom and pop landlords.
Yeah. Well, there's roughly 160 million homes in America, right? And I think the number is roughly 15 to 20 million homes are owned by mom and pop, right? So, I mean, when you look at that, institutions own what, isn't it 600,000 versus 15 million, 10 to 15 million, 20 million, I forget what the number is exactly, but I mean, that's just obviously such a monstrous number versus these institutions that everybody's, ringing the bell, raising the flag of fear.
So when these institutions come back in the market and they really start to buy again, they're net selling right now, but 2024 maybe a net buy.
Yeah.
I think that it depends on the cost of capital.
Yeah, true. As capital gets cheaper, as interest rates go lower, they're going to buy more properties.
Well, and I mean, inflation hopefully comes down, right? The affordability index, starts to go more in the, tenants' favor, owners' favor, right? We'll see all of those types of things, how that works.
Hey, if you're enjoying this content and you're one of the 87% of our viewers who are not subscribed, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button. So, okay, if you're just everyday, regular realtor out there selling properties, what do you make of these sorts of things, and like, what does this mean for you and your business?
It means you if you're working with buyers, you gotta compete against those institutions that are buying those homes, and then also, for me, I would be working on how I can work with these funds.
Well, not only that, but I think, number one, a lot of these institutions are capitalizing off of sellers looking for the ease of transaction, looking for, how are they acquiring them? Yes, they're working with real estate agents. Yes, they're working with the open doors, et cetera, buying, properties off from them directly. I would say, to Jay's point, how do you get into alignment with them by taking these same type of acquisition strategies and aligning that so you can serve and support your clientele that are looking for that type of sale. And then ultimately some of these people are...
Yeah, well, these companies are usually buying the home at value. It's not like a wholesaler. It's not like some of these other... No. It's not like selling to Open Door or OfferPad, because they're looking for margin. If you sell directly to a Progress or Invitation Homes or a Tricon, you're more likely to get what the market's really bearing. Today, maybe not, maybe a little bit less, because they're looking at...
we know it's a lot less right now because we connect to...
It depends, but we did sell one to, what was it, Progress?
Recently. Real recent one where they got...
It was about market price, but it was a remodeled home.
Mm-hmm.
So we remodeled it, and they bought it from us, and it was, pretty...
because they're playing the long game. Yeah, well, and as long as the rents are in alignment with their acquisition and cap rates, and cap tables that they're running on that property, then
I think it used to be you had the market, and then you had pre-market opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the funds and things like the Zoodealios are almost like the market before the pre-market before the market. And what
the pre to the pre-pre.
There really is. And what a lot of people don't realize is there is this market. It's gaining more transactions as years go on. And I think that if you're an agent, you got to be asking yourself, how do I tap into that market?
That pre-market.
Right.
That's what wholesalers are doing. The wholesalers are really tapping into the pre-market, because it's people that are like, hey, do I just sell it off and really quick and just, sell it for less than what I could sell it for if I remodeled it or clean up my carpet or cleaned everything out.
But sadly, though, if you're a realtor, you should be looking at this as an opportunity, because you can do better for your consumer than a wholesaler. Because what we know is that wholesaler is going to want their fair share of that opportunity. And so...
Really? It's a fair share? I think it's an unfair share. A lot
Sometimes.
of people they're just finding a seller and going, okay, now I got a contract.
Sliding paper.
Now I go sell it for $10,000 more, and they're not doing anything with the property. They're just finding somebody else that wants it more than they do, to make a cut off of it. So, I think there's definitely a lot of like the Cash Plus. Cash Plus is a great way to not sell to a wholesaler and actually get what get the money out of the property, as the most amount of money out of the property.
I think that what just popped into my head is, especially from a marketing, advertising, client service, client acquisition standpoint, is this just really illustrates the importance of, I don't want to say IDX is dead, because obviously Zillow still gets 300 million, visitors, Realtor.com, 100 million, right? All those crazy numbers. But my point is around this is where so many agents are playing that IDX game for leads, right? Or they're buying leads. But really, when you have the opportunity to bring a different value proposition and scale it out to your audience, like, this is exactly what we're talking about, is these two different types of strategies to create higher quality, higher intent leads, so that when they're ready to do something like this, and you have 5,000 people that you're nurturing, right? That's just a simple mathematical equation. It's so many of those 5,000 people are going to churn out every single year. So.
And so then I guess the question becomes, if, how do you keep them engaged and attached to you through the process and in a meaningful way? Because, it's funny because when I was practicing real estate on the day in, day out, whenever I would meet a new potential buyer, my question for them was, how many realtors are you working with, right? It wasn't like, are you working with a realtor?
Good question.
I just assumed that they were working with several, because I knew that on the monthly basis, they were getting emails from probably 2, 3, 5 different realtors from their community. And so I think that you can be, emailing, dripping out, you can be texting, you can be engaging on socials, but how do you really keep them connected to you as that professional to where they're going to use you when it comes time to transact?
Yeah, that's a great way to get somebody to tell you the truth. It's just ask them how many realtors you're working with.
I was like, dang.
Because then they're like, huh? Well, oh yeah, I got 2, yeah, 3, maybe 3.
Yeah, it was always some sort of version of, oh, well, I went to an open house and this agent put me on a search, and you'd always get like the multiple. Yep. Right. But then you would also get the backstory on how they're really not my agent. They're just sending me an email.
Their version.
And so like, I guess I look at it from the lens of, okay, great. I have 5,000 people. I've got them on this monthly drip. I'm sending them cool value propositions. But how am I going to set myself as the leader, the expert in their mind? I want to banter that a little bit, because I feel like, we talk a lot about, build your email list and nurture and this and that.
Yeah, now after you acquire the data, how do you stand out? What's that UVP?
Yeah, how do you build intimacy with them?
I mean, I think it's giving them a buyer's presentation and getting them to sign a contract with you to use you. I mean, obviously, that's how you get someone to
but really, how do you pre that? Right, because if you go try to cram a contract down somebody's mouth, they'd be like,
Well, not if you're face to face. It's got to be, you got to get face to face with them, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's on, in the office. But you have to get face to face with somebody to get them to sign a contract like that. But
so you've got 5,000 people that you're sending an email drip. Do you just play the numbers game? Do you just work with whoever trickles down? Or do you try and create meaningful engagements, maybe face-to-face, like you're saying, with as many people as possible? And, how do you do that? I know one thing, when we went to Tom Ferry, the Success Summit in August, and we watched, I believe her name is Jen, I might butcher your last name, Jen Dilliard. And she's out of, I believe, Washington. Maybe she also works in Oregon as well. One of the two. She's either Oregon, Washington. She's somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. And her whole segment was on events, how you have to do events and hold these events so you can build this intimacy, build the relationship.
She's using that as her hook.
Yeah, I thought that was really smart. But then I'm also for me, I'm the type of consumer that would never work on. I would never go to an event.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to be sold by an ice cream.
It's like an introvert.
I'm totally not. And so, how do you tap in? So sure, there's a whole part of there's a lot of people that would love to go to these events, but then there's people like me that would never show up to something like that. And so, how do you tap into the people like me?
You slide into your DMs, right?
Yeah. So
you like your posts and engage with you on your content.
So, but what happens if Instagram shuts my account down?
Well, then you're screwed.
So let me jump in here, because this is kind of my cup of tea, and this is pretty wild actually. Hearing this, I almost feel like you read my
Did I tee you up?
Well, it's because it totally aligns with my advice, right? Part of I had this whole little thing, my little script, and be like, agents, stop sending dumb emails, stop sending text messages that don't work, stop saying that you're gonna, I see that you checked out 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Streets. I'm gonna be there this weekend. Can I show it to you, right? That's all what they're doing. Now, don't get me wrong. The fact that you're actually taking action on those things, kudos to you, because 95% of the agents are doing nothing. I mean, something is better than nothing. But what I really want to focus on is exactly what we were just talking about is, again, I know this is a cliche saying, but it actually works to open up the door and build a relationship, which is ultimately what I'm about to get into, is where riches are in the niches. So you have to have a value proposition on how, what, and why you're going to stand out. So like, for example, let's say it's a Kayla in the scenario that we just had right there. She's more introvert.
She's not going to the bowling party.
Not going to ice cream social. Not going to the bowling party. Not going to the movie theater. Lunch and movie, whatever that these events.
She's going to say no to coffee.
Exactly. Where when she, and then not again, savvy, can search and do things on her own. All of these things. Well, this is where I think that riches in the niches is kind of comes into play. So like, for example, right, just something I whipped up. Like from a little script is like, hey, I see that you. So again, we're going to play the IDX game, right? Because it's one of the things that we're talking about there. Hey, I see you've been searching for homes in the $500,000 range, and hey, I just want to take a quick moment of your time because we actually specialize in making your move and your transition smooth. And that comes with giving cash offers on your existing house if you happen to have one. But one of the things we really try to focus on is giving you a specialized rate and specialized process of going from house that you're currently in to your new house. So I wanted to find out if I could ultimately get you more house for less money. I would assume that that's something you'd be interested in learning a little bit more about. Now, I want to pause because that's absolutely scripty, that's absolutely salesy, that's absolutely all those things. But here's the biggest thing that you're looking for in that. Number one, you're wanting to pique the interest because at some point in time, you have to have a key differentiator between the other 18 agents that she knows. That's what you're trying to illustrate there. But at the end of the day, so after I get, a yes, right, I have to dig for that. But then from there, it literally comes down to about building a relationship. Mm-hmm. Like that is like, I know sometimes we're always looking for that magic bullet. It literally comes back down to who can build the best relationship.
Agreed. And I think that, in the day where social media is so prevalent, we can have our social media and we can be making a lot of content that truly is going to build relationships. But we should also be making content for our emails as well. Because here's the reality, your social accounts, you could be delisted, you could be deactivated, you could be, shut down on a moment's notice. And all of that hard work you poured into that medium is gone. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we should be carrying that forward into our email marketing as well, for sure.
Absolutely. Like I said, I would encourage you, take everything that we said here because all of it's going to work, and absolutely playing the numbers is going to work. The biggest recommendation that I would say that we haven't hit on yet is having a system that will actually capture some of that buyer's or that seller's intent. There's a ton of tech out there today that will help you get those big numbers, and then it captures that person's intent, and then you focus on your higher intent. So what does that mean when I say higher intent? People that are opening the stuff that you're sending them, clicking on the stuff that you're sending, and actually engaging with it. The system then captures that, and then you focus your effort on building relationships with those people.
Jason, what do you have for us in Market Minute?
I don't have anything.
You have nothing today.
I have nothing today. I came very unprepared.
Well, but hey, let's we got a little bit of something.
The Dow Jones hit a record at 38,000, and then it tapered off. That's what I got.
So I know that housing starts, inflation. There's some economic data coming out, and all eyes will be on it to see what that looks like. And when does the Fed meet again?
In March.
In March.
So the actual percentage of people that think that the Fed's going to lower interest rates has gone down. So now we're thinking probably the first rate reduction would be in May. So it'd be a surprise if the Fed dropped interest rates in March now.
Got it.
It was like 50-something%, but the market's been flying and
almost no reason to
but we got some bad data, but company earnings today. So we'll see what the company earnings, if it starts to look bad, and then that percentage might go up in March. So
okay, can you do us a favor, because I find this really interesting? Can you just kind of briefly explain the dot plot to us?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
The dot plot is fascinating. I love
so
this.
So the dot plot is a bunch of all the Feds. They basically say when they believe interest rates are going to go down, and what where the interest rates will be at certain parts of the year, and they put a dot for every Fed, and so there's this dot plot that goes up on what where interest rates will be, what each Fed believes the interest rates will be at that part of the year. So that's what the dot plot is. And there's all sorts of different questions that they ask them, and they put a dot in different areas. So, yeah.
Well, I find that to be super interesting. And I know that just last week, Fannie Mae revised their interest rate forecasts for the year, and they're coming in much more favorably now, which is really interesting. They're now expecting rates to decline to about 5.8% by the end of the year.
Wow.
So
but the
definitely
Fed doesn't. I mean, a lot of the Feds don't think that, or they say it's not. I mean, what they're saying isn't happening. But I mean, I think a lot of them are being very careful because they don't want the market to just sky high, or the market, the stock market to just go crazy. So they talk bad about it, like, oh yeah, we're not probably going to see reductions.
Sounds like
in
a
rates,
form
blah,
of
blah, blah.
steering.
Well, they're trying to be very careful
Economic
with the market, right?
Yep.
Because if they don't, the market goes crazy, and then they don't lower rates, then the market tanks, and it just gets too much volatility. So.
And in other economic news, last year we had more housing completions than we have had since 2007.
Wow.
So builders have been on a tear. 1.54 million homes were completed last year. Yeah.
Were all of them sold?
That does include manufactured homes. And
Oh,
I doubt
that
that they were
does?
all sold. Yes, it does. Yes, it does include manufactured homes. I don't have the breakdown of what those were.
Well, it's a home, right? It's a home.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a home on wheels.
It's definitely a home.
It's registered with the motor vehicle department in a lot of places, but unless it's a fix.
Manufacturers aren't, right?
Mobiles are.
Or mobiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, mobile.
Because you gotta have tires, right?
Yeah.
So
As soon as you put the tires on.
Yeah, it's axles.
No, it's
Manufactured. They have to actually construct on site.
So that was up 4.5% from 2022. And yeah, I feel like though, man, yes, we are short housing, but does it seem like we're now overbuilding? I haven't.
We're overbuilding on apartment complexes, I've read.
Yeah.
Honestly,
We're
there's
having
definitely
There
a
is a glut
ton
of
of
them.
vertical stuff, and I mean, especially like for us, where we live, suburbia. I feel like for me in Chandler, it's been going vertical for a while.
Well, this thing over here in Gilbert.
Yep. Yeah, in Gilbert
the
too.
Cooley Station,
Like
there's like 8 apartment complexes surrounding one little shopping center area.
Yeah, you drive down Williamsfield and it's just like apartment complex after apartment complex after apartment complex. In viral vibes, I'm going to take us back to the weekend, the Super Bowl, or the
Playoffs.
the playoff game.
Playoffs.
The game between the Chiefs and the Bills. So what's going viral is we know how that game ended, but apparently there's been a spotlight on the quarterback Josh Allen's portfolio of real estate. So apparently
he owns a
about $12 million worth of homes, and he owns 2 properties in New York, 2 properties in California, and they look like some pretty nice houses here that
Congratulations,
he
Josh.
owns. Yeah, so good for him. Hey, while you lost the game, you're not losing in the real estate market, and your homes are beautiful. So
There's a lot of football players that don't even own homes. It's kind of disappointing.
That is weird.
Yeah.
well, but it was interesting though when we've worked with some athletes, and their wealth managers are advising them to rent, and then
They're
they're
blocking
taking
them.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense though. The
Yeah.
wealth manager wants to take that money and invest it in other things, not real estate.
Yep, they don't make a cut off of real estate, I guess.
That's
But Josh Allen, he's going for the real estate portfolio.
Oh, that's a nice one. Where's
Yeah.
that one at?
So this one is in Orchard Park, New York. It's on 31 acres. It's just like a gorgeous brick home.
31 acres.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very,
and
very
he's
beautiful.
actually early enough in his contract that he hasn't gotten his mega payday yet either. I think.
Oh.
I don't know for sure.
He hasn't got a
on
mega
that.
payday?
I don't think he has a mega
He's
payday.
got $12 million in real estate. Hasn't had a mega. He has to have.
No, I don't think so.
He's got to at least made $50 million.
He
Yeah.
He did get a big contract. Okay,
21
nice,
million?
Nice and corrected.
2021.
Okay, so it's okay.
And we'll have Colby put some of these properties up here. Where's that one at? That one's in.
This one is in Dana Point.
Dana Point, and that's why I thought Josh and Kyle were brothers, because like Kyle has a place in Dana Point too. So it's kind of interesting.
Very
It is interesting. They're both
They're buddies.
quarterbacks.
What's up with the Stanley? That you got one of these Stanleys? Did you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and fight for that?
I did not. No, but we got the Valentine's Day special Stanley, and of course we made it better.
Yeah, her whole custom swag here. I'm like, I got like the old Zoodealio cup, got like the old beaded Zoodealio shirt. I'm like, dang.
These are the OG shirts.
I know. I need to like up my swag game over here.
Hey, if you are enjoying this content, please make sure you smash that subscribe button and be sure to engage, add to the conversation, and leave a comment below.